Welcome to the relay. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. Ahead of her fight with Danielle Perkins this weekend, Clarissa Shields says, "I'm stuck at heavyweight because smaller girls won't fight me."
To what smaller girls is she referring to?
After a dominant debut in July where she stopped Vanessa LePage-Joanese in just 2 rounds to claim the WBC and WBO titles, the 4-division world champion Shields, 15-0 with 3 KOs, is ready for her next challenge this Sunday when she takes on undefeated challenger Danielle Perkins, 5-0 with 2 KOs. The bout will headline a Salida Promotions card on DAZN that is dubbed Super Brawl Sunday at the Dort Financial Center in Flint, Michigan, marking a hometown return for Shields. "To be honest with you, it's hard to get fights with the girls that are smaller now," Shields told The Ring. "I moved up 2 weight classes to fight at heavyweight. I'm a natural 168 pounder, and I fought at 154. Sadly, these girls talk a lot but don't sign the contract to fight at 154, 160, and 168. I'm stuck at heavyweight because these girls will actually fight me, and they are more of a challenge. I'm going to build the heavyweight division in women's boxing and show what a heavy hitter really is, just like I did in my last fight." Some would argue that Clarissa Shields' last fight with Vanessa Joanese was more of an indictment on the heavyweight division than anything positive, because Vanessa Joanese, God bless her, you could see she's not the same caliber of fighter as a Chantel Cameron,
A Carolyn Dubois, a Beatrice Ferreira. Yet this is what passes for a champion in the heavyweight division.
leaving one so inclined to ask, how could someone like this pick up an alphabet title, a world title, and it's because the talent pool up there is so paper thin, the alphabet titles are easier to win. At 29 years old, T-Rex Shields, the 2-time U.S. Olympian, isn't just making waves in the ring, she's also stepping into the spotlight on the big screen. Her biopic, The Fire Inside, starring Ryan Destiny, premiered on December 25th, offering an in-depth look at her life and career. Looking to play spoiler on the Hollywood script is the 42-year-old Perkins, a former college basketball player at St. John's University and a professional baller in Europe who transitioned to boxing after a life-altering accident in which she was struck by a car. Perkins rebounded in a big way, however, winning the 2019 IBA Women's World Championships before turning pro in 2020. Perkins has been a professional for roughly 4-5 years, but only has 5 professional fights. What does that tell you about the heavyweight division?
Danielle has never fought in a 10-rounder before. This weekend will be the first time.
Most recently, Perkins secured a 6-round unanimous decision victory over Christiane Fahy on the Shields LePage-Joanese undercard. Perkins' credentials have caught Shields' attention. "I believe Danielle Perkins is a force to be reckoned with," said Shields. "She's very athletic and has an amateur background with world championships. She is going to be a great challenge. She's not someone I'm overlooking. It's not an easy fight for me. I feel that I'm the greatest woman of all time, but she's going to come in the ring 195, 200 pounds on fight night. I have to really lock in. I've never been that big. I won't be that big on fight night. I have to use everything that I have to come out on top." Who wants to have a movie come out about their life across the nation and then come out and not perform and win? There's a lot of pressure, actually.
So we've talked about how barren these divisions are to no end.
Clarissa is fighting a fighter with only 5 professional fights spread across 4 or 5 years, who's 42 years old and has never fought in a 10-rounder.
This is who you're fighting for undisputed.
Which is clearly not the same thing as moving up in weight to challenge Chantel Cameron for undisputed, or Amanda Serrano moving up in weight to challenge Katie Taylor for undisputed. That becoming undisputed at the lower weights is a lot more difficult for those girls because there are more of them, more girls you have to go through, you have to fight, and the fighters are generally better, albeit smaller.
Now, Clarissa says the smaller girls don't want to move up in weight to fight her. My question is, what incentive are you providing for them to move up in weight? If they're going to move up in weight and face somebody who's so much bigger than they are, there needs to be something in it for them.
For the challenge they're taking on, the risks, the rewards need to be comparable, and Clarissa just doesn't pay out that much. Most of the money flowing through women's boxing is flowing through it at the lower weights. So why would smaller girls move up to fight you?
When they can make the same or more, generally more, fighting Katie Taylor or fighting Amanda Serrano, fighting Sky Nicholson. I don't imagine that Danielle Perkins is making all that much this weekend for fighting Clarissa, and this is an undisputed title fight.
So you have to tell the whole story. A part of the reason that the smaller girls don't move up in weight to fight you is because you ain't that big a draw. Fighting you doesn't pay out that much. Now, if Clarissa's fights generated more money, I'm sure you'd find more combatants that are more willing to take on that challenge. But between the barren weight classes where she campaigns, where there already aren't a lot of girls, to then rely on smaller women moving up in weight to fight you, there needs to be a financial incentive, and with Clarissa, it's just not big enough.
If they're getting 300,000-400,000 or $500,000 to fight you,
They might be more willing. So what we're really talking about here is Clarissa's lack of marquee value. And she doesn't package it that way, but that's what it is.
what it really is.
So if what Clarissa's saying is that some smaller women don't want to roll the dice with her, you can hardly blame them when you have a natural size advantage over them and you're not even going to pay them that much. What do you expect?
I'm not even sure who specifically she's referring to, because I remember Alicia Baumgartner wanted to move up in weight to fight her.
She said she'd fight Clarissa at 147, and I remember that Clarissa once said she can make 147. She has since moved the goalposts.
My thoughts?
Maybe there was a time when Clarissa could have got down that low, but at 29 years old, I think that time is long since passed. She's campaigning as a heavyweight now. She'd have to chop off one of her legs to get down there. The 147?
There was a time when she used to compete at 154, though getting down there now, I think, would be very difficult for her because she's getting up there in age. And she's not getting smaller, she's getting bigger.
I don't know that she can get down that low again, and even if she can, it could be physically taxing.
Men's light heavyweight news ahead of tonight's mega match. By changing boxing's script, David Benavidez believes he can be its leading man.
Best known as the unbeaten former 168-pound champion avoided by Canelo Alvarez, the Phoenix product has the ability to summon the sport's massive Latino fan base, is under 30, lives for knockouts, and runs to the best fights possible.
Lives for knockouts? He didn't knock out Caleb Plant. He didn't knock out the last guy he fought.
He didn't knock out Bozdik. Summon its massive Latino fan base? When has David Benavidez ever done massive numbers?
Lance Pugmire's at it again.
I want to go and achieve greatness. I don't want to sit around and have someone hand it to me, Benavidez told Boxing Scene, following an animated and heated news conference with a Saturday night opponent at the T-Mobile Arena, fellow unbeaten light heavyweight Benavidez-Morrell of Cuba. You've got to go take it. Canelo Alvarez did what he did, and he's a tremendous fighter.
It's not a David Benavidez fight week if they don't bring up Canelo a million times.
But this is a new era. There's new fighters. The landscape of boxing is different. I'm gonna go in there and beat all the guys they think I can't beat. And I will be the last man standing. Benavidez, 29-0 with 24 KOs, insists he's enacting his personal sea change for the sport by passing the offer of a pedestrian opponent for his winter fight to pursue the 27-year-old Morrell, who's 11-0 with 9 KOs, who 2 fights ago in Minnesota damn near killed a man, according to an eyewitness to Morrell's hospitalized second-round knockout victim. A frightening opponent indeed. David Benavidez could have followed Alvarez's lead and taken on a lesser opponent without losing his standing in the sport. He would retain his position as WBC interim light heavyweight champion, in line to next face the winner of the February 22nd Artur Beterbiev versus Dimitri Bivol undisputed light heavyweight title fight in Saudi. Instead, he went after the most formidable non-champion available.
Tell the whole story. The other reason he did that is because you can't headline a pay-per-view with Jesse Hart.
With Canelo, he could have taken the fight with me. If he thinks he can beat me, Benavidez reasoned in a private series of interviews with payperview.com live chat hosts. That's what I'm doing with David Morrell. He called me out. I'm making some good money and beating his ass, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. It's that attitude adjustment that Benavidez is banking on to accelerate his rise, along with his fighting style and new emphasis on trash talking.
Accelerate his rise? Didn't this guy spend over a decade at super middleweight?
During Thursday's contentious news conference, Benavidez shared a heated exchange with Morrell's promoter, Louis DeCuba Sr., and also roared at Morrell after prior events where Morrell threw a belt at Benavidez and the pair went chest to chest at a photo shoot. when someone asked Benavidez if his uncharacteristic behavior was playing into Morrell's hands, Benavidez revealed that he was carrying out a premeditated strategy. At the end of the day, we're selling fights, right? He said, would you rather I say Morrell is a good fighter? I'm trying to sell the fight. I'm trying to sell pay-per-views. I'm trying to generate interest, because if I don't say anything, this guy's not going to say anything. People are paying hard-earned money for this fight. If you're a person in love with beating the shit out of people, you need this type of interaction. I've been in boxing my whole life, since I was 3 years old. This is something that amplifies the way I feel, and this is what people want to see. They want to see two fighters who don't like each other going at it. Let's give them something to see.
I think that David's fanfare and the conversation about him centers too much around another fighter, that fighter being Canelo Alvarez, which is why they have to mention him so much. And that's not organic.
It's manufactured, very much forced, because here you have two guys that are separated by weight. Canelo's still at 168, David's at 175, and he's talking about moving up to cruiser, yet you have to mention Canelo 100 times at a press conference to have something to say.
The Canelo who you say isn't going to fight you anyway.
If he's not going to fight you and the fight's not going to happen, that makes bringing him up as much as you do
pointless.
Benavidez is predicting a knockout victory. I'm going to go in there and inflict as much damage as possible, he said. Don't think it's all big shots. I've put the perfect game plan together. I'm going to pick my shots, break him down little by little,
and get him out of there. I guarantee you I will stop him, knock him out. I'm 100% confident in my skills. I'm going to make you feel me, my punching power, my combinations, make you feel uncomfortable the whole fight. I get it working. I know how to control my style better than anyone. I don't get hit too much.
What?
I feel I'm one of the most accurate punchers in boxing. At the end of the day, when it's me and you, man to man, I'm going to be the one on top.
During the pay-per-view.com segment, David Benavidez elaborated the Hall of Fame broadcaster Jim Lampley, who spoke of Morrell's sophisticated training in the Cuban School of Boxing that includes more than 100 amateur bouts. This is not an amateur fight, Benavidez answered. He can be technically superior for 3 rounds, but if he's getting hit when David Benavidez is putting the pressure on you, landing combinations, that all goes out the window. I know when I get in there with a great fighter, a greater David Benavidez will come out. I know I can go toe-to-toe. If I have to hunt him down, I will. If I have to box, I'll outbox him. I'll be the destroyer.
Outbox him.
When have you ever seen David Benavidez outbox somebody? In a boxing sense of the word. That ain't his bread and butter. His bread and butter's pressure. David Benavidez built that mindset during a series of rugged sparring sessions against another Alvarez rival, former long-reigning middleweight champion Gennady Golovkin. It's why I have the confidence I have. Being Golovkin's main sparring partner as a kid, Benavidez told pay-per-view.com's Dan Canobio, legendary sparring sessions of iron sharpening iron that put an imprint on me and my boxing spirit. And that's how I know nobody can mess with me. Benavidez has taken out the tricky former middleweight champion Demetrius Andrade and former super middleweight champion Caleb Plant, also in Vegas. I've been going against all these people. That's what's making me great.
Define great. You were in the same division for over a decade and you never unified with anybody.
They keep saying I'm gonna get outboxed, but when the fight ends, I'll still be getting my hand raised with another belt.
Another interim title.
Benavidez told Canobio, I'm achieving my greatness by beating up people they say I can't beat.
Who said he can't beat Caleb Plant? Who said he can't beat Demetrius Andrade? Who said that?
With so much boxing action moving to Saudi Arabia's Riyadh season events under the supervision of power broker Turkey Alalshikh, Benavidez is basking in the news that a strong turnout is expected in boxing's capital. When you think about Vegas, you think about the Pacquiao fights, the Mayweather fights. Now, I'm the Vegas kid, he said. We bring a good crowd. People like to see these news conferences where we talk a lot of shit and every fight gets bigger and bigger.
And this is supposed to be a prelude to something even bigger for David Benavidez, a shot at Undisputed. But when he was asked about that, when he was asked about fighting the winner of Beterbiev versus Bivol at Riyadh season, this is what he said.
To be honest with you, I'm not worried about Turkey. We're on PBC. We're in the U.S. We're throwing fights here in Vegas. This is what I care about. I care about headlining fights for PBC.
Jim Lampley asked David Benavidez if in victory he'd rather fight a triumphant Bivol for the undisputed light heavyweight title or try once more for Canelo. David said, "The only thing that Canelo brings me is the money," Benavidez said. "I want the respect of the fans. I know a fight with Canelo Alvarez is way easier than Bivol because Bivol is the one who beat Canelo. Now I'm interested in beating Bivol, winning all the titles, and winning all the respect of the fans."
And he said this to Jim Lampley while at the same time talking about moving up the cruiser, talking about fighting Zerto, saying that he doesn't care about Turkey, he doesn't care about Saudi, he's a Vegas fighter.
To be honest with you, I'm not worried about Turkey. We're on PBC. We're in the U.S. We're throwing fights here in Vegas. This is what I care about. I care about headlining fights for PBC.
How important is it for you, talking about Turkey and PBC, that for American boxing in America, that you ascend to the heights you think you can reach? How important is it for the sport here in America?
It's important because at the end of the day, we do love seeing the fights over there, but not everybody can make it over there. You know what I mean? So I feel great and satisfied that I'm one of the front runners being here and throwing these big events.
David's too reliant on bringing up another fighter to seem interesting to reporters, to the boxing community at large, and you can ask, what's he supposed to say when he's asked something about Canelo? That's what Luis Martinez asked.
Shut it down.
You tell those reporters, no matter how many times they ask you, you're not fielding questions about Canelo because it's not going to happen. You're not going back down to 168.
You've established that he doesn't want to fight you, so why is this still a talking point? Yet time and time again, David Benavidez and his team relish any and every opportunity to make their event about Canelo.
If what this is about is the best versus the best, and fighting for undisputed, not but 24 hours ago, it was reiterated that Turkey wants to put the winner of tonight's fight in the ring with the winner of Beterbiev versus Bivol.
And the Haymanites didn't like that. One in particular that goes by the name Fred Garvin.
One of the bigger Haymanites you'll find on the X platform stated, 1LOL2. What does Turkey have to do with Beterbiev? Wait, we need the guy who can't actually put together a profitable card to get involved here.
No, what we need is for the guy who's been kicked off 3 major American broadcast networks to keep doing what he's doing so he can make it 4.
They don't want David to fight the winner of that fight, and David himself, you can see, he doesn't really want the winner of that fight either. He doesn't care about Turkey. Remember? Those were his words. That's not me paraphrasing.
If the only way you can sell a guy is to misrepresent him and what his real intentions are, you're not going to get far.
And that's why David Benavidez hasn't. Over a decade in the same division and never unified a title, never Ring Magazine, never Lineal, let alone undisputed. Now he's at light heavyweight fighting for more secondary titles.
You're pretending that he got somewhere.
That he doesn't need Turkey, but he doesn't have Canelo.
So if he wins tonight and he beats David Morrell, what do you propose?
Oh, I get it. You're expecting that the winner of the fight later on this month, they have to bend the knee to David Benavidez, who's just a glorified contender, and bend the knee to Al Haymon, so that David doesn't have to bend the knee to Turkey.
Is that it? Is that what you're expecting?
Is it?
Well, who pays better?
Who's gonna provide the fighters with a bigger bag? Al Haymon or Turkey Alalshikh? You know the answer, so does everybody else.
Worrying about whether or not Turkey's shows are profitable, what you should be asking is what's more profitable for the fighters?
Who can guarantee them more money? But like I said, you already know the answer.